We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
Okay. Welcome in. Good afternoon, everyone. We got 2 hours for you here today on Sports by the Book Football Frenzy on a Friday. Happy to be with you. We've made it. It's playoff day. The college football playoff 12-team variety gets rolling tonight in South Bend, Indiana. I'm Jeff Parles. Alongside me, Chris Andrews. Seattle University.
They're playing tonight.
They're playing in hoops. Elgin Baylor, right?
Elgin Baylor,
okay,
yeah.
All right,
my kid's coffee shop is right across the street from our campus. So.
Okay, there we go. Are they still the Red Hawks?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Got to make sure it's still on track in the head there.
And corrected me, they're in the WAC now. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. They've bounced around a whole bunch now in college hoops. Vinny Magliulo is here as well.
What's up, boys?
It's a good day, Vinny. It's a good day. And now. There's a reason we all have the headphones on because in a rarity on this show, but we make a big time exception for one of our good friends. Of course, you see him now over at Fox Sports. You see him and Jeff Schwartz on a weekly basis on the Bears on the Bear Bets podcast as well, and. You see him in the bottom corner of your screen right now. Chris Fallica joins us right now. Bear, I think we have some good football to talk about today, right? Only a few good games.
It's fun. I'm looking forward. I've always been a proponent of like the 4 is fine, 4 is good, 4 is better. Don't water it down. But you know what? After going through a season and talking about a 12-team playoff, I think the playoff kind of accomplished its goal. We were talking about the sport. You got more teams involved, more fan bases involved in talking about the sport, and of course we knew that there was going to be a little bit of controversy at the end, which there was, which I didn't feel strongly about one way or the other. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the game tonight, and then the game. What a hell of a weekend, man!
Oh yeah,
you got the game tonight, you got the 3 games tomorrow, and the 2 NFL games, and you got NFL Sunday and Monday night. I mean. Well, what's better than this?
And then again, tomorrow's an amazing day. It's weird that the NFL encroached on college football. It's playoff, but I think
the NFL's been doing this.
Trust me.
I wouldn't give the NFL too much grief.
Yeah, I will say. Chiefs and the split screen tomorrow with Chiefs and Houston and Penn State and SMU. We could do worse. Let's just say.
Well, I got 9 TVs in my office, so I'm going to be fine. Yeah. I got to say, and I was on the earlier show, I really think tomorrow's the best football day I've ever experienced in my life.
It's a good one.
I mean, I got the Steelers and Penn State playing. Of course, I hope they both win. But I mean, we got 3 playoff games. You got 2 games that are, absolutely essential in the NFL. I mean, they're not playoff games, but they have playoff implications. I mean, I just think it's going to be fantastic. My only beef, Bear, and I know I'm a little older than you, a lot older than you, actually. It took till I'm 68 for them to figure this out, Bear. I mean, come on. I've been crying about this for the last 50 years.
The wheels of change are very, very slow in the college football world.
I guess.
Yeah, it's funny. I can remember, but John Lucas, a Pittsburgh native, who wrote a Beano Cooks.
Right. Oh, love that book, by the way.
Bino was talking about a playoff in the early 1970s about how college football needed one. So, we're finally here, and I'm sure we are not done expanding. 2 wasn't enough, 4 isn't enough, 12's not going to be enough.
No.
We'll 16 soon enough now with the SEC and Big Ten having teams left out.
Well, Bear, good to see you, bud. Good to have you on. Thanks for joining us. Happy holidays to you and Christmas in Connecticut with the Bear. How about that?
and we got
an instant classic.
Behind me, you can't see it.
So, Bear, I'm with you. And Chrissy hit it. Listen, I don't care what the NFL's got 2 games. We've been saying all along that we're going to book these college games, these playoff games, like they're NFL playoff games, and the people are going to bet them that way. So that's fine. And to your point, I think what may contribute to an expansion down the road is look at these bowl games where they're. First of all, nobody's really paying attention to them. I mean, it's great for the kids that get to go and get a little bit more exposure and things, but they're going to have to expand. They have to be losing money on these things too. And the way these numbers are running, I mean, because of the transfer portal and everything that's going on. So at some point, I don't know what that number is. Maybe the next number is probably 16. But before that, I do think that they may tweak the seeding, the current seeding situation. But at some point, they'll get it. It took a long time, as Chrissy indicated, to get to this point. But I think things will move along a lot quicker now that we are at this point.
To your point, Vinny, I didn't watch a single one of the first few bowl games.
Yeah.
The first bowl game that I turned on, it would have been the Jacksonville State, Ohio game at 3:30 because I wanted to watch College Game Day for the first time this year, and that game was still going on. So that was the first football that I had that I watched during bowl season. And have you guys seen like the interest that you guys expected? Has there been that much interest at the counter? And then I'm curious, like I was bringing this up with Jeff and Sammy P and Will earlier. Like I kind of think like the money lines are a little bit muted. I kind of think like we're seeing the little NCAA tournament phenomena, Super Bowl phenomena, where a lot of people are just betting dogs on the money line, so you're getting like the favorites a little bit of a reduced price.
Well, I think that's true, but I mean, I'm looking at certain games like the Syracuse game. We kind of knew Wash State was going to go through a lot of changes, so we opened it high. I think we opened either 7 or 7.5. I went to 16 this morning. You know, so I mean, you're talking about most of the games aren't garnering much interest from the public, but they are garnering a lot of interest from the wise guys when they know something before we do. And, you know, Bear, as a bookmaker, I hate to move on air. I hate it. But for these bowl games, you have to. I mean, what was it? 27 guys from Wash State are in the portal. 27, I think.
And their head coach is gone.
Yeah, and the head coach is gone, and the quarterback was the number one NIL or the number one portal guy. You know, so I mean, you just have to move on air on these, and I hate doing that, but it's almost like booking exhibition season football.
Yeah,
and the same thing kind of happened in that in the Army Marshall game as well. Before Marshall just basically finally said, "Okay, we're done." And it was funny when we were recording the Bear Bets pod on Wednesday. What we went on the air. Navy, Oklahoma was 6.5, 7 all over the place. Get off the air, it went to like 4.5. So like these games, I mean, you know, a little word gets out, and you're going to see a ton of action.
Well, Bear, let's go to tonight and this new era. Really, again, it's pretty amazing that we start this new era, the college football playoff, with home sites, and we get 4 of the best sites humanly possible for games.
Yes.
And we start here tonight in South Bend at Notre Dame Stadium. We were 24 hours off from a total snow globe in this one. But look, it's been all about Indiana for the most part. Chris and company opened this thing 9. Yeah. Got as low as 6.5 earlier today. They took the 6.5, pushed it back to 7, which is what it is across the board right now, with the Irish landed at home with a total of 50.5 at this one at Notre Dame Stadium, the Indiana State Championship game.
Yeah, I grabbed 51.5 early on, thinking that was going to be the best of the number with the total and going under, because you look at these two defenses, and I think they're both really going to have their way. And then yesterday or the day before, I think we saw some 52s, and I'm like, oh, move against me. I wasn't really expecting that, and I think we're at like 50.5 now in a lot of places. But I like the under tonight. I think if you look at Indiana and what they've done against the two best defenses they played this year, Ohio State and Michigan, they were unable to really sustain any drives outside of that opening drive against Ohio State and then the garbage time drive at the end of the game. So Rourke was, like 6 of 18 or something like that against Ohio State. And on the flip side, Notre Dame isn't exactly going to light it up. The Indiana defense, as bad as their offense was in those games, their defense held up really, really well against Ohio State. And I'm not sure Love and Leonard and those backs are going to be able to run the ball and really dominate the line of scrimmage against an inexperienced Indiana front that has a lot of starts together and played a lot of football together. So, yeah, I'm expecting under. If both teams get to the 20s, I'll probably be a little bit surprised. And I really have no opinion on the side. It sounds like a lot of the shops out there, and Chris and Vinny can certainly attest to it. Like it seems like the books are in a rare position of rooting for Notre Dame tonight.
And to the defensive, I mean, so we're going into a major game, as big a game as we're going to have. Need in the Irish is, there's worse things in the world, but there'll still be, I think, a bit of a public run between now and kickoff, perhaps on the name brand. Recognition part of it, Bear. To your point, too, about the total, I think one of the other things into consideration, not so much the snow. I think it's a little windy there. Chris and I were just at lunch when we were going over the weather, and more, I think the wind in the 20s, possibly more of a factor than the snow itself. And again, two pretty good defense. Indiana's defense, defense travels, as you know.
Yeah, I think it's going to be low scoring, but I still kind of like the favorite. I just think right now, listen, Cignetti has done such a masterful job, and I think Indiana is going to be here to stay with him signing that long-term contract. But at this point in time, I just don't think he has the horses to compete with Notre Dame. And I mean, 7's a lot. I mean, 9's really a lot. But I kind of like Notre Dame in this game. I'm thinking like maybe a 24-10 game, something like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that would make Bear happy with his under.
That'd be easy under.
Yeah, that'd be an easy under. And I think it might be something like that.
Yeah, we'll break these games throughout the show here today. Again, a whole NFL card, but
yeah, we got
this is what it's all about here today, down to the postseason on the college football end of things, Bear.
Before we go on to other games, just because of the how much is Notre Dame winning the national title like your worst outcome? Because I'm sure that once the bracket came out, you probably got a lot of Notre Dame money just based on you get a home game against Indiana, then you're probably going to play Carson Beck, a Georgia team without Carson Beck, right. And then you're potentially looking at either Penn State or Boise in the semifinal. How is Notre Dame just a terrible outcome? Should they win this thing?
Not for us. I mean, it's fine with right now. The one team I'm rooting against, Boise. I got a ton of Boise money. We got.
I think you're going to be okay.
I kind of think so. Bear, we got 2 locations on the Nevada, Arizona, and kind of Utah border, and a lot of the snowbirds from Boise come down through there. Besides hitting Las Vegas, a lot of them hit like Mesquite and some of the sites in Arizona. So we got a ton of Boise money. So right now, that's a pretty bad result for us. But other than that. Really nothing too bad. As a matter of fact, I'm rooting for your 2 teams to play in the final. Would be a thing of beauty if we can get Ohio State and Georgia in the final. First of all, I think it'd be a great game, number one. Two of the biggest names. We got a lot of big names out there this year, but 2 of the biggest name recognition for the general public. And I just think that would be a fantastic game. And money wise, that's our best outcome right now.
And by the way, those snowbirds, those early Boise futures, 500 to 1.
Oh yeah, so I'm not bragging about that, by the way, but it was 500 to 1.
Throw that out there. So hence the exposure.
Bear, let's go to tomorrow morning. Penn State hosting SMU. Again, there was some controversy. Again, if they put Alabama in, fine. What they did, no real argument one way or another. But here you are. The Nittany Lions are 8.5-point favorites in this one. The total's 43, from 54 to 53 on that one now. Look, it's James Franklin in a big game, but this kind of feels a little bit different here with having a team from the South go up north. Not what you were thinking of, Chris, when you were thinking team from the South going to the North. No. But we are getting this, and there's a chance we get a potential snow globe in central PA tomorrow.
Yeah, I played under here as well, under 53. I was, again, not 9 is a key number or anything, but just if I can get 9 with SMU, I'll probably grab the dog here. Just because what Penn State did offensively in the Big Ten championship game against Oregon, that was the best offensive game I've seen them play all year long. And that's a really good Oregon defense. But on the flip side, it concerned me just how Oregon's got elite skill all over the place, and you're not going to see Tez Johnson and Dylan Gabriel out there on the field tomorrow. But Jennings and Brashard Smith and some of the guys, the Miami transfers that SMU has, they can do a lot of similar things, and it would not surprise me to see them have a little bit of success against Penn State from time to time and hang around this game. I'm curious to see as well. I don't know how much of an impact. I hope it doesn't have any impact from a Penn State point of view. The fact that Bo Perbula is not there, because Colt O'Nicky and Franklin like to have a package for him and some plays for him where he could do a lot of design quarterback runs as a change of pace. Maybe Drew Aller just runs the ball. Remember, he had a pretty big game on the ground in the opener against West Virginia. So my gut says Penn State does win. Do I want to lay 8.5? Not really, but again, I think there's a good chance of some cold, snowy weather tomorrow, early in the afternoon at State College with a little bit of wind. So I'm gonna play under here at 53, which I did.
I checked the wind today at Penn State, and it wasn't very. It's like 3 miles an hour. Now
that's nothing. Yeah.
Now I don't know if this system from Notre Dame is going to reach there tomorrow or not. It might. But if it does, under will look even better. I'm a Penn State guy, but I kind of like SMU in the game. I think the number's a shade high. I just think that back door is going to be wide open, and SMU can score. And, that's the way I see it. Listen, I wouldn't go crazy about it, but I made the number like 7.5, and I just think it's a little bit high. But like I said, just trying to envision the game. Now, I think the weather could hurt SMU, certainly a lot more than it hurts Penn State. But I do think that back door is going to be open for an SMU late cover.
Well, I think to what Chris and both Chris's are saying, the thing is that SMU can score. Now, what happened in the playoff game against Clemson, they turned the ball over twice, unforced in the first 4 minutes of that game, but they still, they look what they did, the way they came back and almost won the game. The fact that they could score the way they do, they're very athletic, they're up-tempo, and if anything, if you're looking at something, Bear, if you're liking the dog, maybe it's a first-half play because typically Penn State doesn't necessarily start as fast, and I'm not so sure that SMU starts the way they did against Clemson. Could happen, yeah, but the likelihood of that again, I'm not so sure of. I think they correct some things. So maybe that's the other thing. There's other angles with these games to look at. Of course, there's the pre-flop and there's the end game, which is going to be terrific on these games. But maybe it's a first half, and then who makes the adjustments at halftime, and then you have an opportunity at half as well.
And I know there is an experience factor here, and there's the whole group of 5 SMU going to the ACC, and like the thought process is like SMU is just like a group of 5 team, group of 5 bodies, but like Roberts was a really good player that Lashley brought with them from Miami, and they found a really significant role for him. Their defense is really good. Like maybe it's going to be a big step up in competition, but they held Clemson to 64 yards on 32 carries. They were 4th in the country in rush defense allowed. So we'll see if Singleton and Allen and that offensive line are able to have a lot of success against that front tomorrow. But it's interesting because I know there's been a lot of can Penn State make a run to win the national title? Just because, again, I think people on that bottom side of the draw are looking to play against Georgia because of no Carson Beck. And Penn State, obviously, a very logical contender along with Notre Dame. But it's interesting because they're going to have to, in the last 8 years, since 2014, or 2017 rather, they're 1-14 against top 10 teams. And they're going to have to beat a top 10 team in the quarters, beat a top 10 team in the semis, and beat a top 10 team in the finals. So they're going to have to beat 2 more top 10 teams over a 3 consecutive game stretch than they have in the previous 8 years combined. So it's a great opportunity, to kind of squash that trend and get it done on the biggest of possible stages because the talent is there. But at the same time, just a little bit of perspective as to the task at hand for Penn State.
Yep. Yeah, well, James Franklin, big game record, as you said there, Chris. We all know it's usually Fade City, but it'll be interesting to see. By the way, weather, real quick. As of right now, it's 23 degrees a kick with about 6-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah, not bad.
Looks like the snow, if it comes, is going to be earlier in the day, but again, we know how the weather can change on a dime in central PA. But that's what we're looking at right now there at Beaver Stadium. All right, midday. Texas hosts Clemson, biggest favorite on the board. Battle of 2 shades of orange. 13, wow, up to 13 now in this game.
Yep.
Well, Bear, before I ask you, bookmakers, how high do we think this gets right now that we've actually hit 13?
I think we got a chance of hitting 14 because right now there's no I see no slowing of the action. Now, when these first came out, I made the number like 12, so I thought 11. I thought, that's okay. We'll see what happens. But now it's getting up there, and I think we got a chance of hitting 14. And if you do hit 14, like Vinny likes to say, don't blink. You better jump in and grab it but I think it might show up. Depending on. Well, listen, depending on a lot of things, but we'll see what happens during the day tomorrow. But right now, we're getting a ton of action on a lot of sides, but particularly favorites. And if they pour in on this favorite, I think you got a good chance of hitting 14.
Well, here's what supports what Chris has just said, right? We opened at 11, and then accumulation to 12. All of a sudden, a take. Right, went back to 11.5 briefly,
for a minute
last weekend. Yeah. Okay. Well, the fact that it's up to 13 now is saying, wait a second, let's wait because it may go because I think the public is going to drive this. That's who's driving this number up primarily. So
the wise guys are not laying 13.
No, they're not.
I was going to say.
Okay. But again, you can make a Visine commercial when I tell you don't blink when that 14 hits. Trust me when I tell you.
Bear, I saw your face perk up. I mean, look, you and I are in the same boat on this game. As many points as humanly possible with Clemson sounds awesome to me. I'm going to sprinkle on the money line too in this game.
Are you?
I'm going to sprinkle.
This is typical. Again, it's not the Clemson teams of the past that Dabo Swinney has had, but they have been a very live, dangerous dog with him. He built that whole chip on the shoulder, poor old little old Clemson, the rest of y'all bus, and they pulled some upsets in the past. I just don't know how many points they're going to be able to score. If you look at the Georgia game early in the year, they scored a field goal, a 34-3 loss. At home against South Carolina, they lost 17-14. How they fared against those 2 SEC defenses is kind of telling to me. And now they're going on the road to play what might be the best defense in the country. I played Clemson's team total under 19.5. But at the same time, if they can get to 19, that 31-19 or 31-17, something like 30-17, that's not an unrealistic final score yet. Because if you look at Texas, Quinn Ewers has been very inefficient at times. He's turned the ball over from time to time. They have gotten into the red zone a ton this year, had to settle for field goals and even come away empty. We'll see. Will it be up to Wisner in that offensive line, which is going to get Banks back tomorrow there to maybe open up some holes? But, I think what you're saying, I think the people, the public driving that up, they probably see that SEC championship game where Texas just had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to kind of put Georgia away, and they couldn't do it. And maybe there's a thought process there that they're not going to play like that 2 games in a row on their home field, they'll clean their act up. Ewers get some more time to heal up for both the oblique and the ankle injury that they have and win big at home. But remember, this team laid an absolute egg in their biggest game of the season on their home field, losing by 2 touchdowns to Texas, to Georgia rather. So yeah, I sure as hell wouldn't be laying 13 and a half here.
Again, this is the middle of the day game. I'm very curious to just see how, just the betting patterns as we lead up to it with these single window games as well. But boy, I won't blink if there's 14. I can tell you that right now. If we get 14, it's
trust me,
automatic.
Refresh on that app.
I'll have my screen ready to go all day tomorrow for sure. All right, Bear, let's go to the nightcap. Ohio State and Tennessee. The winner goes to the Rose Bowl to take on the Ducks. Boy, what a reward for Oregon, a potential second shot at Ohio State if the Buckeyes hold serve. Look, this is bounced around, Bear. It's bounced around as high as 8.5 at some shops. Never got higher than 8 here at the South Point. It's 7 right now. The only thing I can think of is if Ryan Day if Ohio State loses this game, Ryan Day is going to need the biggest security circle around him after this one, because that fan base is so mad after what happened against Michigan a few weeks ago. And if they go out in round 1 of the playoff with that expensive roster, I don't see how Ryan Day is the coach of Ohio State next year. And I think that might be speaking the obvious at this point.
Yeah, I guess, but it's like, who do you? I mean, Ross Bjork has already come out and basically given him the vote of confidence and like trying to de-emphasize that Michigan game. Like, I just think Ohio State has a Michigan problem. Like, I think the game is so much in their head, and they put so much emphasis because their fans put so much emphasis, and they've lost a bunch in a row now. But all these other games against big name opponents, they win. Yeah, they lost by a point at Oregon this year. I love Ohio State tomorrow. Like, I laid the 7, and I know it was hanging out there at 7.5 for a while. I'll let Chrissy and Vinny speak to my opinion here, but the fact that this really hasn't gotten below 7, despite seemingly everybody out there touting Tennessee and touting plus the points, Tennessee money line, it almost feels like there's a certain comfort level with some odds makers and bookmakers out there to just kind of, okay, we're comfortable with the Tennessee money. We're going to leave it there and not give the people who want to come in Ohio State a cheap 7 there. But I think you're going to see Ryan Day and Chip Kelly in that offense get Ibuka and Jeremiah Smith more involved in that offense. I played a Jeremiah Smith anytime touchdown out there. It's still plus 115. You can get on that. The way Tennessee has traveled this year, defensively they've been fine. But Nico Iamaleava in 3 road games against Arkansas, against Georgia, and against Oklahoma. I don't consider the Vandy game a true road game. 518 yards in 3 games, not a whole lot downfield. They really struggled scoring and moving the ball and really pushing the ball downfield. And now you're going against Jim Knowles' defense, where he's going to bring a bunch of pressure from a bunch of different spots. Since that loss in Eugene, they kind of had a come-to-Jesus meeting and changes in the scheme that maybe Larry Johnson was hesitant with. Their defense has been so much better. So I think Tennessee, I think their defense plays well, and they kind of hang around and keeps it respectable. But I just don't know how many points Tennessee is going to score. I can see this being kind of like what Chrissy was saying, 24-10 Notre Dame, Indiana. Yeah, I can see this being like 27-14 Ohio State as well tomorrow night in Columbus.
I'm kind of with Bear. I like the chalk here. I made this number 9. Again, not something you'd go crazy over. But, Tennessee, there's just something missing out of this Tennessee team. And I know we've, kind of talked about James Franklin a lot, and deservedly so. He hasn't come up big in a lot of the big games. But I see kind of Tennessee in sort of the same vein. They've had some opportunities over the last couple of years, and they've won a couple of games, but they've also lost a few that I thought they would have shown up a little bit better. But I'm going back
Chris, not to cut you off, but just to back you up on that, I think it's 21 straight road losses against top 10 teams now.
Wow.
I think is the number.
Oh, that's a tough trend to buck. I would tell you that right now. But Bear, there's a play that sticks in my mind that had me anti-Tennessee Tennessee. Early in the year, they played Kent State. They're up by about 30, and they onside kick. I mean, come on, man. Give me a break. By the way, I've gone on record. Kent State is the worst team I've ever power rated in all my years of doing this. And you're onside kicking? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But, this is my first year really evaluating Kennesaw, so that may change. I reserve the right to change my mind.
That's the risk.
But, come on. That was such a... That's such a weak move doing something like that. And I just don't like them in these kind of spots. And like I said, I think Ohio State, I think you're kind of right about the Michigan thing. There's just too much there. They lost by 1 at Oregon, and Oregon's a damn good team. And we all know how tough it is to go to Autzen and play. I mean, so this Ohio State team is good. I know they blew the Michigan game, which we never expected. And by the way, somebody should tell who's the announcer? Johnson. They weren't plus 20. Gus Johnson. It wasn't a 23-point dog. The number was like 19 and a half. But anyway,
you can blame me for that. I'll have to make sure that I can add that to my checklist next year on Fridays when I see him before the game. I'll just have to make sure he has the updated number.
Yeah, because we opened at 23 and we didn't close at 23. I can tell you we needed Ohio State in that game. But anyway, I just think I can't identify the problem like you did. It's a Michigan problem, but I think that you probably hit the nail on the head. And I like Ohio State in this game, and I think they come out of this fine.
Let me tell you about the fan base. Tomorrow, that game is that Michigan game is behind them. They're going to be raucous. They're going to be very much behind the Buckeyes tomorrow in a cold, hostile setting for Tennessee. I'll speak to it. You guys broke it down beautifully, but I will tell you this. There are 6 games when you look at tomorrow, you look at tomorrow, and last night. So you've got the 3 NFL games, 1 last night and 2 tomorrow, and then tonight's Indiana Notre Dame game, and then the 2 tomorrow. Going to this game, the carryover to this game will be as big as any carryover that we've seen all year. That's going to impact this number, and I think that there'll be more Ohio State money carrying over, and I think there'll be more Ohio State money tomorrow. So, again, if I'm not telling you who to bet, but I know this: if you're looking for Ohio State, the likelihood of a bigger number is probably greater than a lower number.
I got a phone call to make. We got to go to 7.5 now. Why didn't Vinny tell me this before we went on the air?
I was going to say that could have been a little incompetent.
Phone's alight. Go ahead, caller.
I see them storming the counter right now, laying the 7.
It's all over.
Just saying.
Let me throw this out. I know the dreaded email or text or call. Hey, would you mind just giving me a hypothetical? Like, if Oregon and Ohio State play on January 1st in the Rose Bowl, we're going to open Ohio State like 1, right?
I have them rated above Oregon. Yeah.
So do I.
Yeah.
Oh boy!
It might be more than one.
Ducks. What a reward!
It might be more than one. To tell you the truth, I understand Oregon's number 1. They deserve it. They were not my highest rated team virtually all year. I've not had them, in the top spot power rating wise. I've had Ohio State much higher, and to tell you the truth, I kind of threw out the Michigan game. I just think that was more of an aberration than just than an indicator.
It's going to be a close number, Bear, but remember this. What's going to be fresh in people's minds is what they see most recently. Like if Ohio State escapes, it's certainly going to be a different situation than if they blow out Tennessee tomorrow. So that's true. Recent, what people have seen recently, there's an element of anticipation too when we're putting these numbers together, as you know.
And that happened as well. Like I actually grabbed more Ohio State to win the title, to win this game, to get to the chance. Like I just think there was so much of an overreaction. I don't even want to say overcorrection, just an overreaction to what happened in the Michigan game. I know they still have some offensive line problems, but the skill positions around them, I on a neutral field, I still would pick them to beat probably anybody in the country. And I know, Chris, you were talking before about I want your 2 teams, meaning Ohio State and Georgia. You can get on I don't know if you guys have matchups posted or not, but I was looking on a couple of the apps that I have access to in Connecticut. You can get like Ohio State beating Georgia at like 25-1. I'm like, are you kidding me?
I don't know what I got it.
Hold on.
Those are Ryan. Those are updated. Those are updated on the board there.
We've
All
got
right,
them.
so
Go ahead.
So there you go. Sorry for the small print, but
Yeah,
actually, Ryan, take us off and just throw it up full screen, real quick. But Georgia over Ohio State right now is 18-1 behind us.
Okay.
The flippo of that is 15-1 with Ohio State beating Georgia.
Yeah,
right now,
Ohio State Notre Dame was the one that was 25-1.
Right. Right now, the betting favorites are the Ducks over both Georgia and Penn State, Georgia over the Ducks, Texas over Georgia, and Georgia over Texas, all sitting at 12-1 right now. That's
There's a lot of juicy prices up there. We've kept the margin pretty low, but we've gotten some action on it. Definitely.
It's still got some time, guys. You got until that first game kicks.
You got a beard out here, don't you, kid? Don't you, Barrett? Send your buddy Gilly into the counter. Send Gilly in.
Yeah, I can send some people out there if I want to. That's what stinks about this state. I got 2 outs. Basically, I had one of the. We only have 3 apps available in Connecticut, and one of them doesn't like me because they posted bad soccer team totals. So I can literally bet $10 there now.
Yeah, that $10 ain't going far. Nah.
No.
Bear, before we let you go, just have to ask you. By the way, that's if we're going down the board there. If you want Clemson over Indiana, you're getting a nice 750-1.
Okay.
If you get to a 12 over 10 in the final. But Bear, before we let you go, just put you on the spot. What do you have when this is all said and done with this 12-team playoff?
It was fine. I played it out, and I gave something to Fox Sports, which I don't know if they posted already. I have Ohio State over Georgia.
Okay.
I think that Ohio State is going to get there. I think they'd beat Oregon in a rematch on a neutral field, and I think they would wind up being the winner of most likely that Texas-Arizona State game as well. And look, I know Georgia defensively has had some issues, but I think they can get past Notre Dame and get there. So I'm going to go. I'm going to go Ohio State over Georgia. Kind of like. Would it be something, though, like with all the problems that both of those teams have had this year and the injuries and up and down and people looking to beat them, and then here we are, just like everybody thought before the year was going to be Ohio State and Georgia.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. Bear, can we keep you for just a minute? I got a question to ask you.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, we know there's pressure on Ryan Day. We know that. Other than that, what coach, what program has the most pressure on him here?
USC.
Yeah.
They are turning on Lincoln Riley, from what I hear.
Oh, okay.
There are people out there that are not happy with him, like collective wise, player, transaction wise. Like they are not getting what they feel the bang for the buck that they invested in, which is kind of funny because they were a game away from making the playoff in his first year, but the last 2 years have not gone the way that they had hoped for, and. You beat LSU in Vegas to start the year, and you're like, oh, maybe they might. This could maybe be a 9 or a 10 team, and they just absolutely fell apart down the stretch, and they have been gutted by the portal as well. But yeah, I know that there are a lot of people who are not happy with that out there with SC right now. But that's another team. I'll be curious to see how well A&M they play out there and what they travel to Vegas, because SC could kind of be a dead team walking in that ball game as well.
I believe.
Ooh, okay.
Yep.
Chris Fallica, everyone. Of course, Bear Bets podcast, him, Jeff Schwartz, our friend Sammy P's on there as well, Will Hill. Again, you see him on Fox as well. Bear, we appreciate the time. We'll I think we're going to watch again before this 12-team playoff is all said and done.
I think we can kind of make it a round by round.
I think so.
Excellent.
I think so.
Hang out with my buddies here.
Open invitation, buddy.
This is why Well, there's a whole myriad of reasons why we're such good friends. But he's like the number one voice in college football from a betting standpoint.
Yeah.
I mean, Feinbaum has his own thing, but that's different than what we're doing. But I think as you're talking about the number one voice in college football, this is the Bear. And he graced us with his presence. I'll grace you with a presence over at Michael's when you come to town.
We'll put that in the calendar for March when I'm out there for the NHC.
Yeah, you got it, pal.
Chris Fallica, everyone. Thank you, Bear.
Merry Christmas, Bear.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we get back, we go from Chris Fallica to Jimmy Vaccaro. When we get back, right here, Sports by the Book.
Another
Football
cagey old
Frenzy
veteran.
Here on a Friday.
South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza. Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. Bingo! And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books, 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day. The friendly ticket writers are happy to help, and it's conveniently located next to the famous Del Mar Deli, where you'll find supersized portions of delicious deli items like roast beef, pastrami, and Reuben sandwiches, or soups, salads, and pizza. Plus spectacular desserts fit for a king. And right next door is the race book. Over 150 seats, each with its own TV screen. There are 16 interactive player terminals, so you can bet right from your seat.
And it's Football Frenzy on a Friday here on Sports by the Book. Jeff Parles. Big thanks to Chris Fallica for hanging out with us.
He's the
for
best.
Over a half
Great
hour.
guy.
We'll have him back.
Yeah,
probably next Friday.
He said next round. Let's go.
We'll know the matchups by next Friday, to say the very least. Chris Andrews is here. Vinny Magliulo is here. And out to my left, the one and only Jimmy Vaccaro.
That was fun listening to Chris. I don't think there's a man on this planet who can cover the college like anyone.
No, I don't think so.
No.
I don't think
I
so
don't think
either.
so. No.
And it's wonderful relationship you build with him now.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's the type we need for this show because he was so freaking good.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember
fantastic.
when he started at ESPN with Chris Fowler, and they were would come through to if they were heading west, and naturally they made sure there was a stop. They had the they didn't get the nonstop to
A little
the West
connector on
Coast.
Delta through Vegas.
So,
that's good.
It was great to see those guys early, and still to this day.
He's so informative.
Yeah,
Oh,
very
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Very
Listen, he's a smart guy and a really good guy.
Yeah.
Run something by him.
Yes, sir.
Well, first of all, here's the 2 tickets. One for $50,000 and one for $40,000.
It's a pretty good day. 3.5 Houston Texans at 44,000, and then the Ravens at 6.5, laying that against Pittsburgh at 55K.
So we are up to 7 on the Ravens.
Yep.
The guy took the 3.5. We went to 3. We went back to 3.5. Now we're back to 3. So, I mean, we got a ton of business on that game. And I got to tell you, I've been saying it ever since these things have been announced. This is my best day of football ever tomorrow, from a lot of standpoints. And I hope we walk away with, just putting a couple dollars in our pocket. But I think it's going to be a fantastic day of football. And I think the fans agree. The action's been incredible.
Well, what
Good.
we keep telling, I'm sorry, Chris, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, so I will anyway.
I'm done.
My Michelle von Burrow, he can take it off.
Here, real quick, guys, we got to take a quick break.
Okay.
Good, go ahead. All of us. We'll be right back here on Sports by the Buck. What happened?
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
We're back. We're all settled. Chris Andrews, Vinny Magliulo, I'm Jeff Parles, and Jimmy is here, and now you can hear Jimmy now, right? Go ahead. Good, everyone? Good. All right. So, Jimmy, we'll bring those up again real quick on these big bets here with the Ravens now up to 7 because of it, and the Chiefs and Texans game all crazy as Chris just said.
That is 3 now, and his bet certainly was a big part of that. But he's got some opposition too.
Guy laid 6.5 for $55,000 to win $50,000.
I'm giving you my microphone.
Thank you. That's just what I wanted all my life. Because you're
Look like Harrison and McCartney.
and the guy, we had 2 ways on the Texans plus the 3.5 for allows you $44,000. So he was outdone by $10,000. So whatever. You know what? I've been thinking about. I was the last couple of days naturally with Watt being injured. Is he playing? Is he not playing? Whatever. And what do we do anymore? Like deciding how much a kid can mean to a point spread. Now we know who was the highest player to move the point spread.
Defensive player, you mean?
Defensive player, yeah.
Go ahead, Chrissy.
Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah, that one was easy, right?
Lawrence Taylor. And I'll tell you, but there was another guy at his era was a little close, not quite. I think Taylor at one point a couple of times was about maybe 3, which is huge.
And that's
most, for any
yeah.
player, but for a defensive player. But Ronnie Lott also was, right, especially up north. Chris, when you were up at the
there's no stopping Niner bettors. It doesn't matter. But Jimmy Lott could have played, and it didn't matter. But
how do you? Let's say Watt, forget the injury he had. Well, just a cold number. If he were fine, and he's playing, and what do you make him playing or not playing for his team?
Well, listen, their record without Watt is awful. I mean, you could just go back and look, and it's not merely anecdotal or subjective. I mean, they just don't play nearly as well when Watt's not in the lineup. But to me, I think it's 2 points, and that's about as high as you can get ever since LT. And even LT 3 was a high water.
That was a huge.
Yeah, that was
a big. But
depending on who they were playing,
exactly.
But Watt's about a 2-point difference.
And you'd have to think that in this game. Don't forget the first game was all field goals.
Yeah,
right too. And he was a key in that game.
And remember, it's a big deal like where that team is playing. Now the -2 on a -3 from the game is like a little different. Just taking -2 and you're looking at a -8, and a plus and a 9 also. So, but it was way back when. I remember, we as any bookmaker forget they lied to you by saying we know what it should be. They didn't know what the hell it should be because nobody knew what the hell it should be. With a guy like Lawrence Taylor walking out and coming through the tunnel, whatever the play. So you're saying a 2? Yeah, that's probably.
I'd say Watt 2, and again, it depends on a lot of situations. Well, that's why I think his number's gone a little too high. I think a 7-point, we're up to 7 now with this game. Yeah. I think that's too high. I mean, you could just see traditionally these two teams play very, very tight games. Yeah. And I think this is going to be another very tight game. And I will say this about the Steelers. They've really drafted, in the last couple of years, they've drafted some really good linebackers. They got that Wilson kid out of NC State. They got Herbig. They got some other guys. So it's not just Watt. Now, the thing is, they double team Watt, and it opens the alleys for everybody else, That's a big part of it. But I think, Watt's going to see his double teams tomorrow, and I think you could see some guys like Wilson is another guy. I love that kid. He's a good kid. He plays really hard.
I'll give one more question to Vincenz. We were asking yesterday, I said, all these injuries, it's just incredible the amount of injuries. And obviously keeping up, if you miss the 2 tackles for your team, that's a big deal anymore. Sure. You have to put that into your process of doing everything.
Sure.
I said to Vincenz, I said, you know what, I think because of these kids are so fast anymore, and obviously they hit each other so hard, it could, raise it up. But Vincenz did help me a little bit on, some of the teams with the official, sometimes it was the grass, sometimes it wasn't, sometimes it was.
Artificial compared to natural grass.
You tempered it down a little bit, Vincenz, on that.
I did just, I think if you ask players, any whether it was, in the previous generations or even today, players had their choice. They'd rather play on natural turf. Than natural grass than artificial turf. And there's no question about it. I think one other aspect of this game, though, is the fact that the Steelers did win a close one previously. I think there's a big advantage at the quarterback position, too, because of the backup situation with the Steelers now. Yeah. And this is one of the better home field advantages in the NFL still, which is, it's not the automatic 3 that it was years ago. But I'd say Baltimore is as good. I got to be honest with you. Baltimore may be better than Kansas City. In this era, it's still one of the better. It's not 3, but it's probably 1.5 to 2 points in this game too. So you add all those factors up, and I think that's why this game, instead of the traditional, if you will, field goal, we're twice that.
All right, guys, you're on your own. Thanks for having me on. That was a great sitting over there. Listen to whatever. That guy's pretty good.
Fallica. Yeah.
Good job, Jones.
Okay. All right, guys. Jimmy?
Okay, guys.
Go keep them in line.
Yep.
All right. Jimmy, thank you as always.
Right.
Always.
The exit is the trademark.
It's the best. It's every part is great, but that is it's a trademark. It's only Jimmy could get away with it.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's an
Jimmy
treasure.
And maybe Elvis, right? I mean, those are the only 2 guys who.
Elvis would be taking he'd be like the trap door.
Yeah, right? Going to the.
Jimmy's a man of the people, though. It'll take him a half hour to get back there.
All right, let's. We went over the 4 games with the Bear, but by the way, those are the tickets. By the way, the big one, the $44K to win $40,000 on Houston Texans plus 3.5, and then the other one, the $55,000 on Baltimore, laying the 6.5 with the Ravens now up to 7 here behind us. All right, I want to go back to the college football games real quick. Just going through these 4. First off, though, before we do that, because you guys do this every single year. The College Bowl jackpot parlay card is out. $5, 15 games. If you project all 15, I might be coming to you for all my picks moving forward. Again, 14-1 got the final week of the season a split, correct?
Was it 7, Chris? I think 7.
I think 7. Yeah.
Yeah. So a split the final week, but if you go 15-0 on this one, especially with all the unknowns,
yeah.
Oh boy,
we tried to put the good bowl games on. Where we hope.
Well, you do have Iowa on here, so I don't know how good that can be, Chris.
Well,
they are playing my alma mater.
Your alma mater.
I know.
But I mean, we tried to get teams like, okay, I don't think the whole team is going to walk out, but
no Holiday Bowl because the Washington State Cougars are not the Washington State
27
Cougars
players
and no head coach anymore.
Well, it also starts on the 28th. The first one is I can't even really the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Yeah, come on. It's the Did you see the trophy?
What did that used to be?
That was the old Champ Sports Bowl, which was.
Thank you.
I don't even know what that was before. But
Iowa State and Miami.
I thought it was the Oatmeal Bowl. But
Vinny, did you see what the trophy is for that, though?
I don't think I want to know, Jeff.
It's an actual toaster. It's an actual. The trophy's an actual toaster.
Is it a working? Is it a working toaster?
It's a working toaster.
Yeah. Is it made out of like platinum or gold?
Right.
Or what is it?
Right.
Please.
Go find it. We'll get it for Vinny by the end of the show.
Jeez.
It looks great. They also have the edible mascot too, so they have that as well. Are you a Pop-Tarts guy to begin with?
I am, but no frosting.
No frosting.
And my favorites are the blueberry, which are rare. It's hard to find them. You notice that?
Unfrosted blueberry.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that existed anymore.
Yeah.
I was a Pop-Tarts fan. I just said it's rare. 14.
Right?
Don't tell Frank that.
But that's the first game. So we've got plenty of time. We've got all this time to give people the opportunity. Again, no point spreads, no limit, $5 a card. Bet as many as you like.
All right, let's
and if you're really stumped, by the way, on what to get somebody for Christmas,
just get them
4 cards.
Get them 4 of these. That's a $20 gift. May not be worth anything at the end, but it is a $20 gift.
Giving them a shot.
Yeah. All right. To tonight, I just want to ask you guys real quick on this game more so than anything. So, as Ryan McCormick and I unveiled yesterday, and I caused a facial expression from Dwayne Colucci I've never seen before.
Do we have it? Let's see.
I think it's gone. I actually have Notre Dame winning the bracket, and I have my 12-1 ticket that I have after the chaos of the final day of the season before the bracket was revealed. I think they got a tremendous draw. And I've been a little bit surprised at how this game's been bet by everyone, that it's been a one-way traffic on Indiana until it got to 6.5.
Yeah, I was going to say, not one way anymore. But,
no, not anymore. Okay. But until it got to 6.5, it was pretty one way. I just a little bit floored by the way this game's been bet. And look, if the Hoosiers beat them, so be it. Again, Cignetti's done an amazing job. To Indiana's credit, 10 of their 12 games, they've won by double digits. Mm-hmm. The only win they didn't have by double digits was against Michigan, and Ohio State beat them in the horseshoe. But I'm a little surprised at how this game got bet all the way through. Really happened, Chris.
Well, I told you in the beginning, I like Notre Dame in this game. And I think, listen, I love Cignetti, and I think that it's great for college football. They signed a long-term contract. I hope he stays in Indiana. They've been a great basketball school virtually my whole life. There's no reason why they can't be a great football school as well. And I think if he turns them into that, I think that's terrific for college football. I think he's terrific for college football. But right now, I don't think he has the horses to compete with a team like Notre Dame. I just don't think he's up to that. And I like the favorite in this spot. And I'm not going to go as far as you, Jeff, and have him winning the bracket. I know
I'm going a big way, Chris.
Yeah, but I mean, Notre Dame has a big shot. What, they lost to Northern Illinois.
Could you imagine?
The hell that happened? I mean, I was on an Iowa broadcast the other day, and I kept calling Northern Illinois Ball State as if there's a difference between the two, losing to either one of them. But I think that they're a hell of a team, and I think they handle Indiana tonight.
You know what the difference is with this Notre Dame team to me, and this has been the case with Notre Dame in the last few years. They're faster, they're bigger, they're more athletic than typical Notre. The last time Notre Dame was in the playoff. Was it 13 maybe?
No. They were in the pandemic year, weren't they? They were in 2020, and Alabama destroyed them.
This team, there was, it's much more recent. But even since then, in the last several years, just a more competitive athlete getting to South Bend, in comparing the program with those types of athletes to the elite, to the Georgias, to the Ohio States, to the Bamas. So I think that's the difference to me with this Notre Dame group.
It's so fun that we have these games. You mentioned it, Chris. I mean, how did it take them so long? Like
I said, I'm 68. How many more years do I have left? They robbed me out of like 50 years of playoffs.
They extended the college basketball tournament to 68 before we could get more than 4 teams. Well, heck, before we could even get 2, because when they went to 68.
I remember when the college basketball was 24 teams, and they were going to expand that, and everybody thought, oh, my God, that's too many.
Oh, 60. Well, now 68's enough. We're good with that. We don't need more than 68.
But Team 69 would disagree with that.
Look, St. John's last year was not happy. Now, granted, they put Virginia in, and Virginia was probably team 195, but that's a different discussion for a different time.
Just for another show. 68, bet the over. It's going to happen.
You're probably right, Vinny. All right, let's go to State College for this one. It is pretty amazing, Ryan. We need a different angle on the trophy because we need to see the actual toaster part.
What is that? That's the trophy.
That's the trophy. We'll show you. We'll show everyone in a little bit on this. We're going to see if we can get a different angle to show the actual toaster portion of the trophy.
Wait a minute. Is it in the laces?
It's in the back. It's in the back of the football. It's in the back of the football.
Please get that graphic off the screen.
I didn't know toasters upset you so much.
I may outdo Colucci's face.
I'm stunned. Vince, he's anti-toaster apparently.
Okay, great.
SMU Penn State. This is the hardest game for me of the 4. Just because, we have the nature of what Penn State has been in big spots through the whole Franklin era. But once they get out of conference, they've done well. And against high-end non-con teams, it's been the elite of the Big Ten that have given James Franklin and company all these issues through the years. It's 8.5. He opened 8. Total's down a point. It's going to be cold. There shouldn't be any snow.
Yeah, but I think the cold does help Penn State.
I think it does too.
That's what I like.
SMU,
I do like SMU in the game. Like I said, I think the back door is going to be wide open to a team that could really put some points on the board, which makes them extremely dangerous in a spot like this, getting more than a touchdown. But I think the cold is not going to help SMU. So that's my one caveat there.
Well, again, I think the issue here is maybe if there is an interest on SMU, maybe the first half. Typically, SMU, their game against Clemson, the way they started with 2 turnovers in the first 4 minutes, put them behind the 8 ball, and credit Clemson for taking advantage of it. More times than not, Penn State does not start games particularly well, right, Chris?
You're exactly right. They've not been a good first half team.
So maybe now they've made adjustments for the second half, so maybe it's a play of 2 halves. And again, look, the options here are significant for us as bookmakers and for the folks out there that are betting, right? Pre-game, in-game, first half, second half props and things like that. Individual game totals. Team totals, and things like that. So, there's take advantage of it and break it down the way you like. And you know what? Book confidently out there, operators, and bet with conviction if you're in action.
Let me just interject for a second. Along with what Vinny's saying, there's so many opportunities now. First half, second half, team totals, individual team totals, the game totals, first half totals, blah, blah, blah. Just so many things. If you're going to be a serious, successful handicapper and want to do this seriously, look to create value for yourself. And there's different ways of doing that. So don't poo-poo any option and say, I'm not going to look at that. I don't, look at it. See if you can find, Bear talked about betting a couple team totals under and not necessarily the game under itself because a favorite can run away. And we know sometimes you get lucky and hit overs. That's just the way, nature of the game. But a lot of times you're going to bet under, maybe first half's a little more value or team totals, things like that.
I'm going to bring something up that I'm sure both of you will yell at me for.
Uh-oh.
Because I know we're not supposed to do this.
You're going to tease, aren't you?
But with this game, with the first game we talked about, and with one we're going to get to later.
He's going to tease. He's going with the T word.
Isn't this the one acceptable time where you could and it's 3 favorites, of course, what makes it even worse.
If you like it, do it.
No, I'm not. I don't think I will, because it just.
Yes, you will.
The fact that, Vinny, the fact that I even had the thought is like, oh, that's gross, because we're not supposed to teach college games.
No, I don't want any video, verbal, any record of me recommending a college teaser.
That's fair. Okay, that's fair. But I'm just saying, if you were ever going to even consider one, this feels like the time you can get away with it, which probably means that that either Indiana or Tennessee are winning outright, or SMU is winning by 1 point or losing by 1 point. Well, that's probably what will happen here.
Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
By the way, what? Again, look at this picture up here.
Okay, put it up for everyone. This is, because we talked about it earlier, this is the trophy for the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Ah, there you go.
And now we actually have the actual real view of this. Vinny, what's wrong with it? It's a toaster.
Obviously.
What's wrong with it?
The staff is taking control of the entire operation here, look at this thing.
It looks good. Doesn't it look good, Chris?
They got frosted
strawberry, which is not good. I'll give you that.
Goodness gracious.
First of all, the only ones that were any good, and I never was a Pop-Tart guy, but the brown sugar cinnamon were pretty good.
Okay.
Those were good.
You think?
The rest, forget about it.
Oh, what do we got? I'll look at it real quick.
Go ahead.
Since we've hijacked this show by the Pop-Tarts Bowl, which probably will happen multiple times through the next.
The trophy is awful.
Oh, come on. Get out of here. What do we got? Brown sugar, strawberry with frosting. We're not.
Nobody. I'm the only blueberry.
Vinny, I didn't even know they made blueberry anymore.
I told you they were rare.
Yeah. But yeah. By the way, Sean Higgs is in there, pumping up the Mayo Bowl. Which no, anyone who gets poured mayo on their head, it just sounds like a bad day at the office.
It's like that.
Rogers in there. McCormick with s'mores. You're right.
Oh, I heard the s'mores are good. I've never had them. I might give them a shot someday.
Yeah, they're good. Jim's in there as well. Roger's in there. We're all happy that you're in there right now. All right. We'll get back to reality for you here, Vinny.
Yeah, okay. Tell me when they get the bourbon tarts in.
I actually removed the small little bottle of bourbon from my bag that I was going to give to Vinny after one of these shows here today. All right, Clemson. Texas, Paddle of Oranges. All right, we had this discussion a little bit earlier with Chris Fallica, but I want to just redux it real quick. Because, Chris, you said earlier in the show, for people who may be tuning in right now who weren't able to be with us at the beginning of the show, you think this has a shot at getting to 14 by the time this goes at 1 o'clock?
I see no resistance yet.
Okay.
There's support and resistance. So far, we have yet to see resistance.
Well, as I mentioned, the game opened 11, went to 12, and then some pros, they took the 12, went to 11 and a half, right? And this was about a week ago. And now it's just been a run on the favorite. And I think that's why, anybody looking to bet Clemson now, Jeff, is waiting for it to go through to 13. So now, will it? Again, it's the second game of the day, but it's the third game in the rotation. And by the way, as we talked about, and when we get to the Tennessee-Ohio State game, it's going to have the 3 pro games, the one last night and the 2 tomorrow as well. So perfect segue, I guess, to the Ohio State game, which is going to make the Ohio State game a huge decision and probably impact the number on that game, in my opinion.
So again, I'm going to be on Clemson now that we're at 13. I was just being patient here. I was just going to wait.
Right, your patience will pay off.
And wait. And now if we get 14, that's an auto. I'm going to take a sprinkle too. I'm just concerned what Fallica said earlier is right. Clemson played one true high-end defense this year, and Georgia held them to 3. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, it was week 1. So, again, Clemson's improved throughout the year, but doesn't this have the feel of one of those games where Texas clearly looks like the better team the whole way? Yeah. But then you look up in the fourth quarter and it's a 1-score game. It's like, how is Texas only winning by 6 or 4 with 9 minutes to go. It kind of feels like that. Or Texas just overwhelms them and blows them out, which wouldn't shock me either if that happened.
By the way, can I mention 2 other things here?
Please.
We got the FCS championship games.
Oh, don't worry, Chris.
Or quarterfinals, I'm sorry. Or semifinals.
Yeah, I mean, you got a road favorite in one of those games, no less.
South Dakota State. I've been, because my kids live in Montana, so I've been watching Montana and Montana State. I can tell this, Montana State is really good, and they are the number 1 seed. They're, what are they, an 8-point favorite over South Dakota. And South Dakota State usually has been North Dakota State has been kind of the bear to deal with here. But right now, South Dakota State, which has had a better year, although North Dakota State, I guess, is seeded a little higher than them. The North Dakota State is home, but South Dakota State is a favorite, a 3-point favorite. So we're going to have those games too. So, I mean, add this to the mix of a great day of college football. And I know I'll be watching Montana State. I watch them as often as I can. That's a really, really good team. And those Dakota teams are awful good too.
They steamed the favorites last week pretty good, remember, Chris? Yeah.
Yeah. Favorites have been awesome in this tournament, which is kind of backwards from what the whole FCS season has been, where underdogs have been amazing the whole year, and then in this tournament it's been mostly favorites through the board there. Again, that's 3 with the Jackrabbits on the road at the Bison. You don't see North Dakota State as a dog at the Fargo Dome very often. Yeah. And then Montana State is 8 against South Dakota.
So
go ahead.
3 teams from the Dakotas and 1 from Montana. That's
big sky country, my friend.
That's huge up there. I mean, that means as much to them as anything else.
We'll hit the last first-round college football playoff game, and then we'll get into the NFL after this one, Ohio State and Tennessee. So, Chris, I want to go back to what Fallica said also on this, where if this game was 3 weeks ago, or it was 3 weeks ago in the season, not actual time, Ohio State's 10 probably in this game.
Right.
Now we're 7.
Pre-Michigan game.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. Like the week, like let's say they played the week they played Indiana. They're probably 10 in this game against Tennessee.
I agree,
Now everyone seemingly is on Tennessee for the most part. From 7 to 8 to 7.5 back to 7. I think the favorite is the much better football team in this game.
And I'm going to tell you, as soon as I get back to that
You're
office,
going to 7.5?
Well, I'm not saying I will, but I'm going to take a look at it, and I might go to 7.5. Okay.
Oh, don't blink, guys.
Well, I'm the only 7 flat in the market, well, at least locally.
Yeah, I'll forget locally.
7 with juice.
You're the only 7 flat anywhere right now.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go to 7.5 probably.
Yeah,
take a look at
the best next number is 7 minus 15 at Circa. So.
I think there'll be more public support and carryover for Ohio State.
Vinny, I am almost certainly going to play a college teaser. I can't wait to see who screws me up on that. I can't wait to see.
You know, us as bookmakers, we need one dog. We need one dog.
Outright.
One dog outright.
We need one dog.
Doesn't matter who it is.
Not really, no. Not at this point.
No, doesn't really.
Well, I'll ask both of you. I know, Chris, you do picks. Vinny, sometimes you'll throw something out there, but if one dog is going to win outright, who do you think is the most likely one to do it? It's kind of a tough card since it's all touchdown or more everywhere in all 4 of these games.
Yeah, I mean, probably gun to my head, I'd take SMU.
Okay. SMU.
Yeah.
Clemson.
Okay.
Clemson. It's the ACC. How about that? 3 ACC answers, as we all expected when this all got going. All right, let's take a 1-minute break. Let's reset. We'll get to the NFL. 15 games, starting with, is it safe to say the wildest moving game of the NFL season so far? The early game tomorrow?
Sure. What, 6.5 points?
Yeah.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah, I think
for a week. What are we? Week 15 or whatever?
Week 16. Yeah. We'll break that down and more. Sports by the Book Football Frenzy when we get back.
South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Back in Sports by the Book Football Frenzy. Chat is active. Sean Higgs, what was it? Capicola? Capicola.
The Gabagola Bowl.
Capicola is awesome. I know I'm speaking to the choir on that one, but I mean.
By the way, it's
at Permane Brothers.
Yeah, pretty good.
It's their number one seller.
Fried egg on top on top of it. Yeah, you got to do that.
Got to say with a G though. Forget the spelling.
In Pittsburgh, it's still Capicola.
Yeah. Jim's brown sugar with you there, Chris. Rogers got strawberry with frosting. My dad is in there as well, says no such thing as a bad Pop-Tart. Mini Dar, tough look for the Broncos last night, Mini Dar. Chocolate fudge Pop-Tarts as well. Giovanni's in there, Ryan's in there, Vince is in there, Jerry's in there. Dean Hill likes Tennessee outright. All right.
Wow.
All right.
Dean.
Let's go to the NFL. Chris Andrews, Vinny Magliulo. We have the wildest moving game of the NFL season so far. It only took us 16 weeks. And it's really only because of what happened on Sunday.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes leaves the game in Cleveland with what we think is a high ankle sprain. Forget if he's injured or not. He didn't even show up on the injury report this whole week. Practice in full every single day. So he's no injury designation. He's good to go here in this game against the Texans. This game opened Houston 3. Under the assumption that we were going to see Carson Wentz under center for the Chiefs, which, by the way, if it was Carson Wentz and I was getting a good money line price, I would have been all over Kansas City on the money line with Carson. Oh, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely, because I'm not a huge Houston guy. But now we flipped 6 points, 6.5.
6.5.
Especially now with that big bet that you guys took on Houston, even though you went back to the 3.5 after taking it for a short period of time. But here you go. First game tomorrow morning, 1 o'clock East, 10 a.m. Pacific. KC's 3 at home with a total of 42, which has gone up, which makes sense with Mahomes in instead of Wentz.
Well, I made a number 4 with Mahomes. Now, I did open Houston 3 because I thought that was the right number without Mahomes. I mean, to me, it was a 7-point difference from Mahomes to Wentz. So I thought 3 was the right number. I thought Mahomes was not going to play. Then we started to see some money on the dog. I went quickly. I went to 2. Well, they laid me the 2 real quick on Houston. So I went back to 3 because, hell, I didn't know. I mean, we're just trying to figure this out. Then the money started trickling in. So I go to 2.5. I'm thinking, well, they laid me the 2. They took the 3, but 2.5. One of our good guys coming, and we charge a little more for half points on the 3 because we're just vulnerable there. It's it's a strategic thing.
Sure.
Anyway, a guy laid me $1.40 to take +3 for $20,000. So he's got a hell of a bet right now. That's better than the actual money line, or that's probably close to the actual money line with getting no points. He's getting +3, so he did good there. But I mean, hey, we take it. What can I tell you? The guy made a sharp bet. But right now, I think 3.5 is a better number than 3 myself. But we'll see what happens. It's going both ways at these numbers.
Chiefs win this game, they lock up home field, right? For the
not yet. Well, not yet. You win 2 if they win and Buffalo loses.
And Buffalo loses a game.
That would be locked up.
Now I know Buffalo has the tiebreaker, but when you look at because after this the Chiefs have the Steelers.
Yeah. So
and is it the Chargers?
They get the Broncos. So real quick tiebreaker. We'll throw that out there. Playoff scenario allows. Kansas City gets to 15 wins. It's over.
Correct.
It's over. If KC gets to 15, Buffalo can't catch them.
Correct.
So 2 out of 3 for the end of the year for Kansas City. That's enough in order to win. If they win this game, And in all honesty, short week against Pittsburgh, if Mahomes isn't 100%, I think we see Carson Wentz on Christmas Day.
If they don't need the game.
Oh, especially if they don't need the game.
No
but that
question.
would mean Buffalo
Buffalo's not losing.
Buffalo's not losing to New England as a 14-point
But the other part is this is, again, no disrespect to the Texans. Just look at this defense compared to the next two defenses, right?
It's still a pretty good defense.
It's not the Steelers and it's not the Broncos. Right,
I think it's pretty similar to Denver's. Not Pittsburgh, I'll give you that because at this
Denver's
point,
is pretty
good.
good.
Yeah, Denver's good too. But
this again, one of the most impactful players currently to the number, and clearly that's what we saw here.
Well, I'll say it. Sorry, Vinny. As long as the favorite doesn't win this game by 3, it's okay for you guys. Correct?
He loves it. He loves it.
Chris?
Well,
loves it.
That's the worst.
That's the worst.
We got a middle you could drive a truck through.
Of course.
From 3 one end to 3 the other end. So
more than 3 one way or another then. Let's get someone by
3
4.
one way or the other.
Makes him even more giddy, doesn't it?
Oh,
that's
man.
all right,
Come
Jeff.
on, Vinny.
I hope you have both. Did you tease both sides yet?
I should have. That would have been a lot of fun. No, Vinny. All I'll say is when it's June 22nd, we're going to be clamoring for this conversation.
We'll replay it.
All right, let's go to the second game tomorrow. Boy, it's kind of amazing that the NFL ended up winding up with their 2 best games of the week on Saturday this week. And
it's because they got the same 4 teams.
Of course, they're going
Wednesday.
on Christmas. Yep, exactly. The Ravens and the Steelers. So you guys are market high here. The best number, period, on the Pittsburgh Steelers is behind us at a flat 7.
Well, a $50,000 bet on the Ravens will do that.
Of course. And I'll just say this, at 7, I would only take the underdog.
Yeah.
Because the Steelers have played Baltimore awesome in the Lamar Jackson era.
Yeah, for the last decade.
Yeah, they played them great. And I know last week, again, TJ Watt's banged up. He's going to play, but he's not 100%. One weird thing to keep in mind with the Pittsburgh depth chart this week.
Yes.
Justin Fields is out.
He is out.
He's out. He's out. So there's no... If Russell Wilson were to get injured, you're going to the 3rd string, which is a problem. Yeah. And there's going to be no quarterback run package for Fields at all in this game because he's out with the abdomen
They talked
injury.
about having that for this game.
Yeah. So that's a few things that are dings against Pittsburgh in this game. Vinny, you mentioned this earlier in the show. There are not many great home field advantages left in the NFL, but Baltimore is one of them that is still a high-end home field. But, boy, I know I got burned last week with Pittsburgh against Philly. I'll go back to the well. Baltimore beats me by more than a touchdown. So be it. I would take 7 with Pittsburgh.
Well, I think what you're seeing here is the fact that we talked about the Fields factor. Edge to the Ravens, I think, overall at quarterback. Edge to the Steelers in the kicking game, which was the difference in the first game, right? And the defense, which Watt was terrific in. So, I mean, for years this has been a field goal game, but I just think perception has come into play as well with the circumstances, and I think this home field is better than Kansas City's. And again, years ago, Chris and I were cutting our teeth in the business, Jimmy, as well. It was always an automatic 3 or more for the home field. That's not the case anymore. It's probably more of an average of 1 in the NFL anymore. But I'd say this is about I'd say 2. I think
I got 1.
Yeah. So it's a little bit more than a lot of places.
This is for playoff perspective wise.
Yeah.
This is a ginormous game because if the Pittsburgh Steelers win, they clinch the AFC North.
Yes.
And 2 weeks, they can get themselves healthy. They're not getting the 1 seed. They can't catch Kansas City at this point, unless if things got really weird, which would mean Buffalo has to lose to some pretty bad teams mixed through there. Happen, So if you're Pittsburgh, I mean, if you pull the upset here, you got 2 weeks to get yourself right. As long as you hold on to the 3 seed, which is important because that Baltimore probably would end up with the 5.
Right.
Get a crack at one of the lesser AFC West teams who played each other last night. But this gets Baltimore back in it. They still would need some help in order to catch Pittsburgh altogether. But again, the Steelers play the Kansas City Chiefs next week. And then the last week of the season, the weirdest quirk with the Steelers schedule. If we get all sorts of chaos down the stretch, the Bengals could very much still be alive week 18.
The Bengals are still alive.
And Pittsburgh plays Cincinnati the final week of the season.
Yeah. Well, let's not forget the Ravens play the Texans next week.
Correct.
And so, that's not an easy game.
No, not on the road. And they end with Cleveland, too. Again, that's a double revenge game for Baltimore right now. Good games on Saturday. Really good games.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Come behind us. Just watch on the multiple screens or make sure you get a duo screen going.
And don't forget the two FCS semifinals.
All four will be in action.
We'll have them all
behind us. All right, let's go to Sunday. Well, I mentioned both the teams that are playing in this game. Cleveland at Cincinnati. How about that? Didn't even do this intentionally. Dorian Thompson-Robinson's going to start for the Browns, the end of the Jameis Winston experiment, which makes me sad because, again, anything in play at any moment with Jameis Winston. I mean, it was brutal last week for the Browns, who were given every opportunity to cover that game.
Two end zone interceptions.
Just awful all the way around in a 2-touchdown loss in a game where Kansas City actually covered for once.
Back-to-back games.
What for
the Brownies, right? When you think about it.
Oh yeah,
Denver the week before, right?
The Pittsburgh game mixed in there as well, where Kadarius Toney final stage in the NFL was hilarious in its own right. But forget the Browns for a second. Let's look at the Cincinnati side of things. Bengals need a ton of help in order to get in, but if the Bengals win out, they're not dead.
No,
they're not dead. They're favored here. They'll be favored next week at home against Denver. And then who knows what Pittsburgh needs week 18. That will deter. Again, there's too much unknown to pontificate anything at this point for week 18. 46.5, which all I'll say is I know there's problems on Cleveland's offense. 46.5 in a Bengal game seems super, super low at this point.
Well, we know Burrow's had a fantastic year that has not translated to wins because of that defense. So, I mean, with Thompson-Robinson, can he put up his share of the points? I can tell you this number has moved quite a bit. We opened 7. We're up to 9. And I don't know. I don't have much faith in Cleveland. But, you're right. This does look like a low total. I mean, I think if Cleveland gets to, let's say, 17, 18, 19, right in that range, then that game is probably figured to go over. I'm not crazy about this game.
Sure.
I could see the adjustment with the quarterback change, but boy, that lack of defense on the Bengals. Yeah, these guys are professionals, and once again, you're just going to have that back door wide open because the Bengals can't seem to shut that door.
Total down 3 points. I have to believe that, barring a storm like we saw this morning in South Bend, this total will go up as we get to it further into the weekend.
What do you have on the parlay card there, Chris?
On the half-point card, 46.5, 7.5, and 46.5.
You can get a nice number on Cincinnati there if you can find some partners on that card if you want.
See what the Ties win.
Did I use 7? Did you use 7 or 8?
No, I used 8. Thank goodness. I am a genius. Yeah.
Over is the only thing that I would look at here. It's Bengals games. I mean, last week that Cincinnati Tennessee game was one. I hate using this phrase, but it was idiotic. It was idiotic. 10 turnovers in the game.
Oh God.
We'll get to what Tennessee's doing with Levis on the bench permanently now, at least. But again, the Bengal games have just been super duper overs all year. Their defense stinks, and they have arguably the second best offense in the NFL. It's a good combination for overs when you have that. All right, well, we have to do it because it's the next game on the card. The Bears, talk about playing bad football right now. They host Detroit. So the bettors actually took the 7 in this game. With the Bears down to 6.5, 47-48 in this game. I have a question for you about Detroit for both of you because we talked about earlier individual defensive player and how the number moves. The Lions are so battered on defense now. How has that impacted how you guys have power rated Detroit? Where now I get David Montgomery's a significant offensive injury, but they still have Gibbs. They still have their other skill position players.
Montgomery made Gibbs better, and Gibbs made Montgomery better.
Their O-line is healthy, but that defense is so banged up now. Just how much has that impacted your guys' number on that?
Well, for me, 4 points from their peak.
Okay.
And even, lowered it a little bit this last week because for a while they were playing well, even with all those injuries. Now, a lot of it, the offense was carrying them.
Sure.
But, still you have to go by, the scores and the differential and that sort of thing. The offense was carrying them, but now it's just really caught up to them. And, I'm 4 points lower than what I had the Lions at their peak. So, in all honesty, I'm not sure that's enough, but they are playing the Bears, and sorry, Mr. McCormick, the Bears have been pretty inept. So I think they should handle business here, but I don't think it would surprise anybody if they lost this game outright.
So 4.5 to Chris's point, and it really started with the game against these Bears on Thanksgiving, where they actually escaped because the Bears' inability to
clock
managed the game at the end of the game with a timeout, right? So, sorry, I don't want. Is Ryan back there? Is he going to have a flashback?
He's okay.
He's hiding in the corner.
He's okay. He'll be.
The pencils aren't sharpened back there.
He'll be all right.
They don't have. But I think that you have a situation now where the depth, we commended their depth for so long, and rightfully so. But what is it now? 16 players, I think, on the defensive side. At least 13 on the defensive side. Now you add the Montgomery injury. Hutchinson's talking about coming back if they get to the Super Bowl. I think that's way too aggressive. I don't think we'll see him. But it's not just him. But look. They can still score. The Bears can't, but the take on the 7 was a take of the number.
Sure. At
home especially. So that's again where fans and casual bettors bet teams, pro bettors bet numbers, and it was a take.
I know it's a dangerous game with how the Bears offense thinks the game is only 30 minutes and not 60. But but I feel like this is a good over game just because of the injuries on the Detroit defense. Chicago already proved in the second half of that Thanksgiving game that you guys mentioned that they can move the ball on this team, and the Lions are going to score in this game.
Yes.
I mean, even just look at last week. Now, granted, indoor game last week against Buffalo. This week, what is this? This is the only outdoor road game of the year other than Green Bay, right? One of two. It's one of three. It's because they have the 49ers next week, the Lions. So they only play three games outdoors all year. This is number 2. Be honest with you, 31 degrees, a kick with limited wind in Chicago for the Sunday before Christmas. That's pretty darn good.
That's as good as it gets.
That's pretty darn good.
That's shirt sleeves, right, Ryan?
It's pretty darn good. So I do like the over. I think both of these teams will score points. But I understand why the Bears here. All right, Carolina and Arizona. This is not the most enticing games, but you have Arizona going on the road to play in a cold weather game. It's in the 30s, so rarity for this team going east. From 4 to 4.5, they did bet the Cardinals. Total's been smacked around a little bit, but really not far from where you open now at 47.
Well, I kind of like the favorite. If it was 50, I'd love the favorite, but it's not. It's 35. And we had Kyler Murray on Frank's show a little earlier, and when they told him the temperature, his reply was, shit.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, that ain't good.
It's not good.
So I don't know. I mean, I kind of like the favorite, but I wouldn't go crazy. Or just the Cardinals are not up to, and mostly Kyler Murray, up to speed in this cold weather. But I don't know. I mean, the Panthers, I think, were playing a little bit better, and then they kind of laid an egg. So I don't know. You might get a little bit of an effort out of them, but I don't know. I'd probably take the favorite or pass.
Here's a game that's not going to get as much play as the 4 playoff games on an individual basis, the 4 college games, right? I mean, they laid the 4.
Right. We're not going to see
I'm a little surprised they haven't taken the 4 back just yet, because I don't know how much, unless I think it's going to go higher, but 4.5, 5.5, what's the real difference? But so, yeah, not one of the more participated games so far on the board.
Well, this is one of those where if it was a primetime Thursday night game, people would be all over it.
Be a lot more.
It's
interest.
not.
Be a lot more
kind
handled.
of hidden in the middle of the day.
It's going to be hidden. Yeah.
All right, let's go New England and Buffalo next. 14 on this one. By the way, this also got flexed to the late slate.
Great.
To 125. Just shows up what these games are. 46.5, Chris, on the total. Game hasn't moved at all from 14 here on Buffalo.
No, I mean, once again, I made the number 16.5, but diminishing returns. I mean, just, they're not going to look to win by a phone number. They're just looking to get out of here with a W, hopefully not get anybody hurt. But New England, I don't quite have them my worst rated team. As a matter of fact, they're about 2.5 points better than the Raiders. Oh man, they're way better than the Giants. I hate to say, but they're down. They're pretty low, scraping the bottom of the barrel. So I just think Buffalo handles their business here. But boy, tough to lay this kind of number. And let's not forget, it's a division game.
Bills want to stay healthy. I mean, we've seen their last 2 games where they've put up a ton of points and split. Right. So, I mean, just get out of it healthy and move forward.
If you're Buffalo, just handle your business. Like Chris said, I think this is the most obvious diminishing returns game other than Baltimore last week.
Yeah.
That there's been, even though granted Baltimore covered
I know.
a week ago. Again, the Bills end with New England, the Jets, New England. Nice ending to the regular season.
Just get Josh Allen healthy, or keep Josh Allen healthy.
That's it. Stay healthy.
And look, you got to just keep playing until the number 1 seed's decided. Once it's not decided,
of course.
Let Mitchell Trubisky get those snaps in Week 18 against New England.
Let them win 24-14. They'll be fine. Yeah.
You know what? I'll probably be on New England, so I'm okay with that there, Chris. All right, now this is probably the best game of Sunday. Washington hosts Philadelphia. Commanders opened 3.5-point underdogs in this game. Got as high as 4. Now back down the ladder to 3.5. Oh, this is actually a double toggler. Here. Double toggler. 3.5, 4, 3.5, 3. Now 3.5 again. 45.5 the total. We saw this meeting already on a Thursday night. Remember, it was a close game, and then the Eagles really put that game away late, covering all numbers against Washington about a month ago.
Well, Cliff Kingsbury's had a habit of, speaking of diminishing returns on his offense, as guys kind of watch films and kind of figure out a lot of the things that he's doing. Now, I kind of like Kingsbury as an offensive coordinator. Now, has he grown as a coach? I don't know. I don't know that he has. I think this year is going to say a lot, but he's working with an extremely talented young quarterback who may change that narrative a little bit. Yeah, everybody knows I wasn't crazy by Kyler Murray, but I do think Jaden Daniels is for real. And this kid is going to be good. So we'll see if Kingsbury can keep it up. Nonetheless, I made this number higher. I made it closer to 6. And I really think the right side is Philly here right now. And I think I said it probably on your show, Jeff, that I have teams rated higher than Philly in a power rating sense. But right now, I would make Philly, if I got them pick them against almost anybody in the Super Bowl, I would take Philly because I think defense trumps offense in games like that. So I would take Philly. So in this game, I just think this number's gotten a little bit cheap. I like Philly in this one.
So let's get back to the Lions for a second, and I'll tell you why. As they lose power rating, and with all the injuries, and Philly has got a very solid record. Who are teams that now in the NFC are going to compete with them? Right, Philly obviously, Green Bay, the Rams and the Buccaneers are dangerous, but and now Washington, who really kind of needs this game, right? From a playoff perspective.
Oh yeah.
I've got to tell you. The other part of it with Philly, though, that's the biggest factor to me is internally and chemistry.
Sure.
I think there are some issues with players. I think there are more issues, though, with the coaching staff. And I thought that kind of subsided, but when I saw Sirianni arguing with his defensive coordinator last week, it kind of resurrected itself. Now, listen, you're in the heat of battle. I've seen plenty of teams. I've been on teams where, you have knockdown dragouts with teammates and coaches sometime. But this just seems to be a running theme with this team over the last 2 years. And I don't think that's healthy as you're headed down the stretch, playing for playoff position and definitely headed to the postseason. So I could see the play here on the home dog. And I think that may continue until it's going to continue to toggle between three. They'll lay the 3 with Philly and take the 3.5 with the Commanders. But it's just a little, call them subplots. But I think it's something that bears watching with this Philly team.
Eagles still would need a bunch of help in order to get to the 1 seed.
No, they would, but the number 2 or a better seed is
going to be the number
right?
2. Yeah. I mean, look, if Minnesota wins out, the Vikings are the number 1
Minnesota's
seed
in the driver's seat. Yeah, I meant to mention the Vikings. You can't ignore the Vikings anymore.
Vikings and Detroit, whoever wins that North, still probably going to get the 1 seed when it's all said and done. All right. Kirk Cousins to the bench for the Falcons. It's going to be Michael Penix in his first NFL start. His reward is he gets to play the New York Giants. All right. Drew Lock in random quarterback roulette for the Giants will start this week, which is a shame because I was really hoping we get the Tim Boyle start here. But Chris, I think Atlanta was left without a choice. Cousins has been as bad of any regular starting quarterback has been over the last 5 weeks. Mm-hmm. And look, they're still in this. If Atlanta wins out, they're going to the playoffs still, as ridiculous as that is. And against the worst team arguably in the NFL, not a bad spot to give them a crack.
Yeah, but if I'm Cousins, I go to the coach and say, I could beat these guys. Give me one more shot. Give me one more shot to get straightened out. You got $90 million invested in me. I understand what you're saying, and I understand. Give him the shot, blah, blah, blah. This is the team. But if I'm Cousins, that's what I'm telling the coach. I'm telling him, I could beat these guys. Come on, man. But anyway, I made it number 9. It's down to 8.5 with Penix. So to me, the handicappers kind of had more confidence in Cousins in this spot too, a little bit. Maybe half a point, maybe a point. I don't know. Like I said, I made the number 9. It's 8.5. What am I, you have no real opinion. But like I said, that's my only comment is if I were Cousins, I would not be happy.
They're not betting on the Giants. They're betting against the rookie. That's plain and simple.
By the way, I got the Giants my lowest rated team.
It's either them or Vegas, who we saw Atlanta struggle like crazy in order to put away on Monday night. By the way, this is teaser position, I would say, with Atlanta down to 2.5 now that we're in that area code. I think you're okay there if you want to do that. I know it's rookie making his first start, but something really bad would have to happen for Atlanta to blow this game. But it is the Atlanta Falcons. Yep. So we'll just
it is the NFL.
It is the NFL as well. All right, Indy's a 4-point favorite at home against Tennessee. Mason Rudolph back. Will Levis is just, again, we know what he is at this point. He's not an NFL starter. And really for Indy, where last week they were Jonathan Taylor just holding onto the football going into the end zone away from being 2 scores up midway through the third. Yeah. And that game script's completely different if Taylor doesn't pull a Deshaun Jackson. Instead, Indy gets destroyed the last 27-ish minutes. And now they're on the outside looking in. Yeah. Now, granted, you see the schedule. Titans at Giants, Jaguars the last 3 weeks. As good of a draw as you humanly could get, but Anthony Richardson's still completing less than 50% of his passes here. I don't know what to do with this game, Chris.
I do kind of like the favorite, although I will say this. I expect the Titans to be vastly improved with Mason Rudolph at quarterback. Mm-hmm. He's at least a veteran, and at least he's shown. He's not a great quarterback. He's a pretty solid backup kind of guy. Does have a big arm. Little trouble with mobility, but he is a legit quarterback. And I kind of like the Colts in this game. Not crazy about it. Just I think the Rudolph thing, I think is I don't think it's an act of desperation. I think it was just a good move on their part. But one brief thing about Richardson, we said this coming out of college. Yeah, it looks like he has all the talent in the world, but very little experience. Less experience than any quarterback I can remember that got thrown into the starting role. And I just think that really did not do his career well. And I think if he was in college now, he may be convinced to stay because of NIL. He'd probably make a couple $1 million playing college ball, get a little bit more in his background as far as being an NFL starter. But we'll see what happens with the kid. But I kind of like the Colts here, but not crazy about it.
Well, the game opened 4.5, right? Got as low as 3.5. More likely to go up, then come back down to 3.5. I think Chris is right. I think there'll certainly going to be a lot more support for the Colts in this game than the Titans, even with the quarterback change.
It's not, again, these AFC South teams, other than Houston, even Houston's been a little bit of a disappointment. This is just
inconsistent, right?
It's been consistently bad, this division. And yet another year with mediocrity across the board and just some flat out terrible. Don't worry, we'll get to the game of the year coming up later, Chris. And by game of the year, not so much.
Jacksonville and the Raiders.
We'll get to that later on that. All right, let's go to the Meadowlands next. The Jets, who have obviously been a mess. They did win last week and cover against the Jags. They'll host the Rams. Hey, look at this. The Jets are actually an underdog for once. Rams 3-point favorites on the road at MetLife. Rams, of course, coming off that touchdown-less win against the 49ers on Thursday night. Very simple for the Rams. You win out. You win the division with relative ease when it's all said and done, which is pretty amazing for a team that at their bye week was 1-4 and was just so injured. Like, how could they get out of it? And credit McVay, credit Stafford. Credit this Ram organization that has turned into a pretty darn consistent team since Sean McVay took it over.
Well, I think you hit it right. Yeah, those are the guys that deserve credit, McVay and Stafford. I mean, and don't forget the two receivers, Nakua and Kupp. They did great, too. Kupp was out for a long time. Actually, both of them were out for a long time. But they're both look healthy now and completing this team. But our question for the Rams has always been the offense. And then last week, well, they won with no touchdown, but the other team didn't score any either. So this is kind of where they're at. I made the number 3. Have we moved all week, Jeff?
On this game,
it's a talk. It's been a toggler.
This has been a 3.5 toggler, my friend.
I mean, I think this game got 3 written all over it. I hope that's not the situation when the final score comes in. But I made the game 3. I have no real opinion on the side here.
Rams lurking, right? When you think about it, I mean, they're in a playoff position and a dangerous team. So, Jets, you hit it on the head last week, Jeff. If anybody's going to
screw up the draft position, no one's better than the 2 or 3 win New York Jets in December.
There they are.
No one's better than it.
So, a toggler here. Obviously, we're not going to need the Rams by 3.
Yeah, this is a tough game. Again,
yeah, it is.
Warm weather team going to cold weather.
Yeah.
It's a tough go for the Rams, but much better coaching on the LA side.
No question.
I'm being very polite to the Jets side. I could say some other stuff, but not worth the time right now. All right, let's go to Seattle next. If this was Sam Howell, where it looked like it could have been for a while, it's not going to be. Geno Smith's going to be able to go.
I made 2 different numbers, yeah.
What was the number you made for if it was Howell?
8.
Wow.
Yeah.
I actually agree with you.
I'm not a fan of Howell.
I agree with you. By the way, you see it's 3. If you're watching us right now, it's open 3.5.
Yeah.
I'm with you, especially after what we saw last week where Howell looked as bad as anyone we've seen non-Tim Boyle division this year.
He's a white Jameis Winston.
He's nowhere near as talented
as
Jameis.
Yeah.
Wow, I thought I was high with 7.
No, I agree with both. And I don't want to hear it anymore with like people who go after Geno. Like Geno, we know what he is.
He's a good quarterback.
He's a solid to good starting quarterback. You're probably not winning anything of significance with him, but you're never bottoming out with him.
He's a good quarterback.
And this is low key a really important game.
Yeah,
because Seattle's got to win out basically with the Ram with the way the Rams schedule is in order to win that division.
Yep.
And the Vikings. Is this like the quietest 2-loss team going into the week of Christmas ever?
Mm-hmm. Good point.
They have 2 losses.
I'm as guilty as anybody. I've been telling you for 2 months that
they're fine with nobody talking about them.
I've been waiting for 2 months. I've been waiting for them to fall apart.
I'm
still waiting.
They're 12-2. If they win out, they get the 1 seed in the playoffs, go through Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Boy, they're going to have such a...
With Sam Darnold.
They're going to have such a hard decision this offseason with Sam Darnold's contract situation. I don't know what the right move is, honestly, at the moment.
He gets them to the Super Bowl, which, if you're the 1 seed, all of a sudden you're a favorite. You're a very tepid favorite, but you are the favorite, essentially.
It's such a hard decision, and we have to see what happens over these,
course,
what they will do with Darnold. But look, they've been awesome against the number 2. They covered against the Bears pretty easily. By the way, if I had lost that under on Monday night, I might not have been at work at all this week, because they would have been that sick if that under had not gotten there. Survived barely. Thankfully, the Bears missed that 2-point conversion in the middle of all the scoring there. But this is a good game, Chris. I actually like the dog in this game. I think this is a good spot for Seattle to get back on the horse. And again, we've been trying to go against Minnesota for the bulk of the last 6 weeks, and I think this is a good time to go against them here.
I made the number 3.5. So again, I'm not crazy about anything at this point. But I don't know. It's hard for me to keep going against Minnesota.
It is.
But I can see your side of it, but I really have no opinion. What are we sitting at right now? We sitting at 3?
You're 3.
Yeah,
You're
I'd probably
3.
take the favorite if anything, but I'm not crazy about it.
Vinny, another week where you just need favorites to not win by 3 or 4 points. Just another week.
It's just
the National Football League in 2024.
What else is new? And by the way, especially in the afternoon.
Yeah.
The afternoons have gone to the bettors for 7 weeks now, Chris?
Yeah, it seems like
it's been good for them. So, and they keep reinvesting. Credit them.
All right. Well, now let's go to a disappointment bowl. Both of these teams had huge expectations coming in, and neither one of them is going to make the playoffs. Miami is more. San Francisco has less than half of 1% in order to get in. Miami is about 1% to get in right now. They both need a ton of help. This is a pick 'em. No Trent Williams again for the Niners. Niners also will be on their 5th running back because Garundolo's out as well. It's a pick down from Miami 2.5. So I bet the Niners in this game. I don't know. The Niners are under 500, so we don't get the Mike McDaniel stinks against over 500 teams trend. But I don't know. I don't know what to do with this game. You got this arguably 2 of the 3 biggest disappointments in the NFL this year in this game.
Well, I think they should be the favorite at home.
Miami.
Yeah, Miami. We talk about home field advantage, and I'm looking of all the teams playing this week. Only a couple of them do I give a 2-point home field advantage, but Miami's one of them.
Okay.
And I think that this is the kind of game where the home field should mean a little something. And by the way, Jeff Fogel has a great article on why home field exists. And it's too hard to go into it right now, but go back and read some of Jeff Fogel's stuff. But anyway, I do think that they should be a very slight favorite here at home. The money showed on the dog. It's a pick 'em. Money showed on San Francisco, so I would have to go with Miami a little bit here, but very tepid.
At some point, there's got to be some money come in on the Dolphins. I mean, we're looking for that threshold, right? Because it's been pretty one-sided right now. But that said, I don't know if it'll be enough to overtake the support that the Niners have seen and probably will continue to see.
No idea what to do with this game. No idea. We'll see. This is
in-game.
Even so, Miami, what has happened with Miami's in most of these games have gotten off the good starts and then just completely forget how to play football. By the way, Tyreek Hill has had 1 touchdown over 25 yards this year. It happened in week 1. Talk about
good stat, Jeff.
Talk about someone falling off the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know Tua hasn't been healthy the whole year, but Hill's not the same guy anymore, to say the very least. All right, the game of the year up next. The Jacksonville Jaguars, just down the road from us, will take on the Raiders. This is a horrible game by every stretch imaginable. If Aiden O'Connell's unable to go, it's Ritter against Mac Jones. I mean, both teams played close games last week. They have that going for both of them.
They almost covered. Raiders
The Raiders almost stole that game for no good reason whatsoever against Atlanta. And the Jaguars, 25 points was not enough for them a week ago. Chris, This is as high as Jackson. This is a hilarious one. Where's your guy who bet the half a point on the pick'em here, Chris?
Yeah.
Jacksonville as high as -1.5. Raiders as high as 1. Total 40.5. If you're going to the game, that might be the main reason to have a wager on this game because I don't know what the heck you can do with either of these teams.
If you're lucky enough to be in one of Michael Gaughan's seats, he's up in the box. They have the best food you could ever imagine. And then go eat. I mean, you get broiled lobster tail, Jeff. Where do you get that?
That sounds good to me.
I usually get 2 or 3 of them when I go with Michael.
I don't blame you, Chris.
You're laughing, Ryan. I mean, yeah, I'm telling you, it's well worth it. Anyway, go and enjoy the food. There's not going to be much of the game to enjoy here. But by the way, I kind of think the Jags should be a very slight favorite. Not much, like 1. Talked about home field advantage. You know how to give the Raiders? 0.
Surprised it's not negative at this point.
It could be next.
Right opponent, though, if the Raider fans are actually going to show up, because there aren't many Jacksonville fans.
No, they're not traveling well with this team.
Yeah.
Lowest total on the board, folks.
So, Vinny, I'm happy you brought that up, because this is 2 weeks in a row we haven't had a game in the 30s.
Mm-hmm. Not in the 30s, but...
No, I had 30 totals-wise.
Yeah. Well,
that hasn't happened much this year.
No, it hasn't. But there's still a low total when you think about it in this day and age.
Bad teams.
These 2 teams.
Really bad teams.
You know,
on this one.
The only reason one thing that'll help this handle it's the Raiders and it's here in town, obviously.
I don't know why the NFL didn't flex this next game out of Sunday night. The only reason I can think of, it's the Cowboys. That's the only thing I can think of.
Well, the Buccaneers are playing.
Bucs are good. There's no arguing that. They're 27-0 in the second half, and we're out to a 40-17 thrashing of the Chargers last week.
They're poised to win the division.
Yeah.
And, by the way, they lost both games to Atlanta this year.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Well, they're going to be favored in the remaining games. If they win this game, they're Carolina, New Orleans at home the last 2 weeks. With whatever New Orleans' quarterback situation. Don't worry, we'll get to New Orleans in a second. Tampa's 4. There's some 3.5 in the market, actually, on this game. Total's the only thing that's bounced here. You guys open 4. You haven't moved all week.
I like the favorite a little. I made this game 5, so I mean, not anything I'd, run to the counter to bet. But I do think they should be a solid favorite, more so than 4. Though 4 can be a mountain to climb in the NFL. But I think they should be a 5-point favorite. Cooper Rush, I don't know. He's kind of regressed. I know they've covered, and... he's gotten lucky a little bit, but I think that they've seen the best of him at this point. And right now, this Tampa team, they're playing with a lot of guts. I always kind of like Baker Mayfield. I think Todd Bowles as a head coach has gotten kind of a bad rap. I think he's done a pretty darn good job. And I think this team, to me, they should win this game, I think, and cover the 4. Although, like I said, I made the number 5. It's not something to go crazy over.
Veteran Buccaneer team, both sides of the ball, playing. They battle the entire game, and again, I know it's amazing that they got swept by Atlanta, but yet they're the lead in the division and are poised to lock it up here down the stretch.
And they lost both of those games in horrific fashion too.
Yeah.
The Thursday night game that they lost to Atlanta, they completely. Blew that game 3 different ways, and then the second time they had a shot to win, and they couldn't do it. And then you're right, Vin. I mean, miraculous comeback. Look, Atlanta's guilty in it as well, but credit to the Bucs because they just. The Bucs went out. The Bucs are going 11-6. I don't think any of us thought that was in play going into the season. I mean, they've gotten better the 2 years since Brady retired. How about that?
Yeah, how about that? I said Bowles has done a better job than they give him credit for.
And I will say this, too. Credit to both Canales, who's now the head coach in Carolina last year, and then credit to Liam Cohen, who's picked up the pieces from Canales' offense last year, and their offense is even better. And that's with losing Godwin for the year and not having Evans for a chunk of time.
Right.
Baker Mayfield's pretty good at this football team.
Yeah.
Heard it here on this desk first. All right, last game in the NFL card. Spencer Rattler, after nearly leading what would have been a decimating comeback to Washington's playoff chances. Granted, there was some shenanigans from
1 yard away.
There was some shenanigans from the clock operator
That's
in that
home
game
field
too.
advantage.
Well, my joke was the old New England Patriot clock operator is now the Saints guy, but that's a different conversation.
I'll go back even further. The Detroit Pistons are clock operator.
There we go. Exactly. All right. So 14 in this game. Oh, we got it. Somehow this was a toggler at 14. Open 13.5, as high as 14.5, now 14. With Green Bay laying it at Lambeau against Rattler and the Saints. Well, I guess you need anything but a 14 on this game,
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Right?
Make it official.
This point, yeah.
I just will ask you real quick, since we have a few minutes before the top of the hour, what do we make of the Packers at this point? Because all their losses have come against the elite of the elite.
Right.
2 to Detroit, 1 to Minnesota, and 1 to Philadelphia. They've really, that was as impressive of a showing as you'll ever see a team have in Seattle. They really beat up the Seahawks. Forget that Geno got hurt. Even before Geno got hurt, that game was decided. What do we make of Green Bay here, sitting at 10-4 and probably on pace for the 6th seed just on the strength of the other 2 teams in their division?
Well, I think right now they're extremely dangerous, and with a caveat, can Love not make the big mistake? He's made a couple big mistakes in those big games. I get to the playoffs; they're all big games, But right now, I think this is a game that's right up his alley. That's why I kind of like him here. I kind of like the favorite. Not too often I like laying double digits, but I think this is the kind of game where Love will do really well. He's probably not going to be forced into making any kind of stupid mistakes. So I think this is the kind of game where he would do extremely well. But be careful in the playoffs. But I got to tell you, and one of my sharpest bettors today bet them to win the NFC.
Okay.
So, I definitely respect this guy's money. Respect his play. I respect his opinion. And he certainly thinks they're alive. And I can't remember what number he took. I think he might have taken 7-1, which wasn't, I don't think, a great number. But he obviously had a feeling on this team.
Good enough to win it, to win the conference if the interceptions are eliminated. That's the key. Chris hit it on the head. That's their Achilles. They can run the ball. Their defense is more than serviceable. It's pretty good. It's the turnovers, particularly in critical situations that have really worked against them this year.
All right. We're gonna get out of here with a stat that I know Vinny's gonna love real quick, and I know Ryan McCormick loves this one too when it comes to Jordan Love. Jordan Love's career numbers during Toyotathon.
Oh
Lord.
During Toyotathon.
Lord.
It's a real thing.
Okay.
26 touchdowns to 2 interceptions.
Are we in Toyotathon?
We are in Toyotathon until what? The 27th? Double check. I think it's the 27th.
Who came up with this stat?
Vinny, 29 to 25 outside of Toyotathon.
Okay.
He's the MVP of the league if Toyotathon was year round.
Well, they may want
Shout out to Ryan Kramer and Sean Green.
They may want to extend
January
it.
6th? All right, so it's still through the end of the regular season.
They may want to extend it into the playoffs.
Oh man. All right, before we get out of here, Chris, any official plays for?
I got 3 I like.
All right, let's go for it.
Colleges like Ohio State.
Ohio State -7.
And the pros, I like the Steelers plus the 7.
Yep.
And I like the Eagles. What kind of number we
What
got?
do we? What do we?
3.5?
What do we
Probably
give? What do we
We're
give
at
for Chris?
3.5.
3.5 on the Eagles.
Yeah, you got to give me 3.
I think that's a fair number for you.
3.5.
Yeah, I can absolutely give you.
Yeah,
3.5.
there's no 3s.
There's no 3s. 3.5 on Philadelphia. Oh, you're staying in that region of the country. Just making your way east from Columbus to Pittsburgh.
We don't claim any. We don't claim Philly. We should have sold them to Delaware 100 years ago. And Ohio State.
Wow.
I never even said that about Buffalo.
Yeah.
Who are you going to sell them to? Ontario?
Canada.
Well, the Canadians like
I was going to say, you sell them to Ontario. That
I
makes
like
sense.
them. We got a lot of good friends.
There you go.
I love Buffalo.
All right, that's all we got for you today, Chris, Vinny.
Don't forget, folks can. Yeah, go ahead.
If you missed Chris Fallica, now that the show's over, just go to the beginning of the show.
Sorry, Bert.
And
Bert, come on.
And make sure you watch it.
We announced it, Bert.
And also, too, make sure if you're in town or you're in Mesquite, Go fill one of these out. It's only $5. Chance of $25K.
Probably an overlay. We had an overlay on the last card. So, listen, how many times you get an overlay in the casino? I mean,
doesn't happen very often.
No.
Stocking stuffers.
Yes, $20 for 4 cards. Could be worth $25K for when it's all said and done. Drew Dog, Jerry, Vince, Ryan, and Sean, thank you all. I'm Jeff Parles for Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo. Good luck on all your plays. We'll see you again next Friday on this show right here on Sports by the Book Football Frenzy.